What's up, everybody? It's Josh. We need to talk about Ironheart and how there were a ton of different leaks that hit the internet yesterday, and dare I say it, it actually got me pretty hyped up at what we might see in the show. So let's talk about it. Let's go over the different things that were leaked. I'll give you my take on them. We're also going to talk about some of the rumors of the plot itself and what we might be seeing in the actual show. And then I kind of want to just end the video by talking about why I'm genuinely way more excited for the Ironheart in the MCU than I was for Riri Williams in Marvel Comics. I actually was not the biggest fan of Ironheart or Riri in Marvel Comics, but I think Kevin Feige is going to avoid some of the mistakes that were made during that time in the comic books. So let's look at some of the leaked images that are out there. These are all coming, I think, from just Jared. Here's a shot of Dominic Thorne in the suit. Now, there's a lot of the mocap stuff here, and then you've got the chest or the armor plating on top here. Pretty interesting. Here's a shot of the full suit right here. Pretty cool. Now, kind of controversial, right? Some people were saying, oh, this looks really awesome. Some people were saying it looks a little bit whack. It looks a little too much like Master Chief or something like that. It's not sleek and what you would want to see. And here's something really cool. This is actually Iron Man from the Ultimates universe, and I believe this is the first suit that Tony Stark makes over in the Ultimates universe, and it kind of looks a lot like this Riri Williams suit here, which is interesting. And there was also talk that this suit will be made of cars, and so it's very possible that this is the first version of the suit that Riri is going to make. Perhaps this will even be the version of the suit that we first see her in Wakanda Forever wearing. Now, there are a couple more images we got to talk about. We got to talk about this one right here. Anthony Ramos as the Hood, bro. And yes, this was rumored for some time, but yes, the Hood is actually going to be, I believe, the main antagonist or one of the main antagonists for the Ironheart series. And what's so cool about this is you see him with the red hood, but also a gun. That's something that's very interesting about the design of the Hood in Marvel Comics. Technically a sorcerer, technically has really good magic abilities, but also uses guns. It's pretty freaking cool. Hood's kind of an interesting character, and I think that he looks great here. And so one of the big questions with the show is, what time frame are we looking at here? Is the show going to be a flashback, an origin story for Riri coming out before Wakanda Forever in the timeline, or is this show going to take place after Wakanda Forever? Well, look here, we got a little clue here from Lizzie Hill. She says it could be a part of this is flashback and part post Wakanda Forever, but the details I was hearing still stand and support my theory that we'll see her origin story. And again, I think because this suit really looks like a Mark I or a first build for her, and it does match up with the description of the suit that we've heard Riri will first have in Wakanda Forever, it's very possible that this suit itself is of her own design before Wakanda Forever. Maybe even this suit gets dismantled before what we see in Wakanda Forever. So we actually don't know. Will the show take place partially in the past, partially past Wakanda Forever? Is it going to be a straight origin the whole way through? We're not really sure. Lizzie Hill thinks that the show might just be an origin story. Now, we do have a couple additional plot points here from Daniel Rickman, very reliable scooper. It says here, the show will have crazy supernatural elements. I mean, with the Hood being in there, absolutely makes sense. The show will be about the concept of magic versus tech. Riri will have more than one suit. So let's start with the first one. The last one. Riri will have more than one suit. That's really good, because as much as I want to see her walking around in this tank-like suit, I do want to see her get to that Iron Man level. Dude, I love the Iron Man suit, man. It's awesome to see the Iron Man suit. I loved it when Tony wore it. I loved the version of it that he gives to Peter. I love the rescue armor that he gives to Pepper Potts. I think it's just awesome. And even though you don't get a lot of development for rescue, Pepper and Tony back-to-back blasting people in Endgame was pretty sick. I just genuinely like the Iron Man suits, and so I hope we get to see Riri in a more advanced version of her Ironheart suit. Now, the show being about the concept of magic versus tech is brilliant. I absolutely love that, and there's actually the possibility that that singular thread and idea gets pushed into big things in the MCU. I've been talking about for some time that in the Eternals movie, the fact that the Celestials were able to create inorganic beings that were both capable of crazy powers, but also magic in the case of Cersei and transmutation, and the possibility that the 10 rings are technology that's actually magical. The idea that Doctor Doom is coming to the MCU, and this is a guy who perfectly combines sorcery, magic, and technology. Like, there's just a lot of juice in that kind of a concept, and I hope that it's like explored in the micro of the show really well, but also sort of sets up some real cool macro ideas for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then, of course, the supernatural elements, it being really crazy in the supernatural. I absolutely love that. And it kind of takes me in to another big rumor that's out there that is freaking fantastic. And this is from a relatively unknown leaker out there, but this person or this account did get stuff correct for multiple MCU projects. And so take it with a grain of salt, but it's saying right here, according to our sources, Agatha Harkness will appear in Ironheart as the magical advisor to the series villain, the Hood. And that is a fantastic freaking idea. I mean, we know the House of Harkness is coming. Agatha, witches, sorcery, magic, probably playing a really big role in the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so, man, all this stuff sounds pretty fantastic. And this is all coming from a guy, myself, who wasn't the biggest fan of Riri in the comics, and I didn't love what Marvel Comics did during All New, All Different Marvel. But they seem to be putting all of the right ingredients and a lot of intrigue into a show and possible origin for Riri Williams in the MCU. Like, in the comic books, Riri's just this genius that the AI Tony Stark ends up just talking to, I believe after she even steals parts of his suit to recreate her own, and she just kind of always felt like just a sort of character that's just there to replace Tony without any real cool developments or interesting things going on with her arc, origin, or even her path as a hero. Like, I felt like it was pretty devoid of like interesting concepts. There's some cool stuff in there where her and Doom, the infamous Iron Man, when he comes back from Secret Wars and becomes Iron Man, there's some interesting dynamics there. But other than that, there's just not a lot of juice with the Riri character in Marvel Comics, right? But again, as I always say, like, that does not mean that the MCU version has to fall to those same tropes, those same problems. And it seems as though they're putting a lot of interesting stuff into this series, and it could end up being one of the most interesting Marvel Disney Plus shows that we have seen. And if that ends up happening, how could you not be happy about that? And how can you not be pumped about this new character that we will have in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? And before we get out of here, I'll leave you with one more really interesting rumor about the show. And I definitely want to know what you think about all of this in the comments section below. And smash a gosh dang like on the video. But it is rumored that a relatively new character from Marvel Comics, who's known as Eclipse, who's a female sorcerer with ties to the 10 rings, will also appear in the show. And so if you do have a sorcerer, who, by the way, turned all of Chicago into zombies apparently in the comics, you know, new character happened in Champions, I believe. If you've got a character like that also coming in with the Hood, Agatha Harkness, and you have technology versus science, and rumors of Zeke Stane, the son of Obadiah Stane, also playing a role in this show, I just really think you're setting up some fascinating stuff, connective tissue, and interesting things to play around with in the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But you let me know what you think in the comments section below.